Do you want concrete examples of what you could automate? I'm David Stiernholm, and today in Done, you'll get exactly that, because I'm about to share 10 automations that help me almost every day. But first, are you making the same mistake as far too many others? I often see people using the apps OneNote, Planner, and To-Do inefficiently and for the wrong things. In a short video, I share what you could use them for instead. You'll find a link to it in the show notes. Now, far more than before, and certainly much less than in a while, there are enormous opportunities to automate the tasks you want done, but do not feel like spending time on yourself. I often see among my clients that they have access to features, apps, and services that could save them time, but they don't use them at all or use them less than they could. The same, of course, applies to me. I don't have time either to implement more than a fraction of what is new, even in the services and apps I use daily. I believe one obstacle is my imagination, quite simply. Even if I read that an app can now do this, it's not certain that I will come up with a way to use it myself. And that is why I so much enjoy reading, hearing, and seeing examples of what others automate in their work, with and without AI. And so does Alexandra, who wrote to me and suggested that I create an episode titled 10 Common Automations That Might Also Help You. So, here, Alexandra, is my list for you, and for you who are listening to this and, like both Alexandra and me, enjoy examples. Here are 10 automations I benefit greatly from right now, in no particular order. The first, when I get a new assignment, the RPA service Zapier writes the to-do tasks I need to complete within the assignment on my to-do list, with the correct due date, name, and labels. At the same time, Zapier schedules the assignment in my calendar, registers the assignment amount in a spreadsheet, and creates a page for the assignment in Notion, where I keep my meeting notes. The second, when I wonder whether I have written about a structure detail in any of my 669 issues of my newsletter done so far, I ask Claude Cowork, who finds the texts where I address that theme and tells me briefly what I wrote. The third, just when I have finished a phone call and want to document what we talked about because my memory is quite unreliable, I make a quick voice note in the RecUp app, which Zapier and OpenAI's Whisper transcribe together and email to me, correctly interpreted actually, for further handling. The fourth, OpenAI's text-to-speech module creates podcast episodes from newsletters I don't want to spend time reading, but that I'm happy to listen to while cycling. The fifth, some hotel bookings and all train bookings cannot be automatically imported into the service TripIt, where I keep all my travel documents. But I have taught Claude Cowork to add them manually directly on the site. The sixth, when a client has chosen an available meeting time in my calendar, Zapier sets up a meeting in Teams or Zoom or Google Meet, depending on which platform the person prefers. And the seventh, an AI reads through the emails I have quickly selected, summarizes them, identifies any to-do tasks, and suggests what the next step is. The eighth, ChatGPT gives me 5 suggestions for dishes to cook for lunch on the weekend based on the family's food preferences from the 4 recipe sites I like every Wednesday at 9 a.m. The ninth, every morning I receive a suggestion of 4 tasks to complete today that would lead me one step closer to each of the 4 goals I have in the business this year. The tasks mustn't take more than 30 minutes to complete. And the 10th, my written texts are proofread by ChatGPT, which points out any grammatical errors. I write everything myself because it's important that my words are truly mine, but it is nice not to have to proofread on my own. Often, but not always, I agree with AI about what is wrong and adjust accordingly. Do this. First, listen to my list again and see if there's an example that strikes a chord with you. That idea is something you could try to set up yourself. Then, try setting up the automation you are tempted by, even if you don't use the same services and apps as I do. For example, if you work with Microsoft 365, your equivalent to Zapier is instead Power Automate. You can use OneNote instead of Notion, and Copilot instead of ChatGPT, and to some extent Claude. If you come up with something completely different that you could automate when you hear what I do, try that too. In the development phase we are in right now, it's right to test, fail, adjust, succeed, and test something new. Because if you automate something you've done manually so far, you save both time and energy. You get more room to devote yourself to the tasks you would rather focus on, and your job becomes more enjoyable and more meaningful. Which automation do you have set up that comes to mind when you hear about my list? Tell me about it in an email to david@stiernholm.com. I want to hear and be inspired to test more automations than I have so far. Thank you for today, and see you again next week.